The O'Reilly Factor's on tonight.
I'm baffled by this White House. It seems as though they want to try to believe a lie, that everything's okay when it's not okay.
A national outcry by Christian and Jewish clerics demanding that President Obama do something about the growing threat from Muslim jihadists. Tonight, we'll continue our reporting.
Is this the glory of God you bragged of?
Also ahead on this Ash Wednesday, the new movie Killing Jesus now has an air date. We'll tell you what it is.
Are you king of the Jews?
It's just beyond this door.
What is?
My playroom.
Like your Xbox and stuff? Oh my God.
The movie 50 Shades of Grey attracting millions of Americans. Dennis Miller believes he knows why.
Do you remember that night?
Caution. You are about to enter the no spin zone. Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Judeo-Christian philosophy versus the Jihad. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. We received thousands of letters from clerics all over the USA after our discussion last night about the Holy War. And on this Ash Wednesday, it is appropriate to define the worldwide conflict between Muslim fanatics and nearly everybody else. As you may know, President Obama is a reluctant warrior, not willing to define the jihadist atrocities as anything other than criminal actions. The President does not even use the words Islamic terrorism for fear of offending good Muslims around the world. Now, some of you believe Mr. Obama is a Muslim sympathizer. Others on the far right even say he's an actual Muslim. There's absolutely no evidence to back that up. Today, the President issued a statement marking Ash Wednesday, quote, "Lent is a season of sacrifice and preparation, repentance and renewal. We remember those who are suffering, including those persecuted for their faith. We join millions in deepening our faith as we look toward the Easter celebration," unquote. In that statement, the President describes himself as a Christian. However, once again, the President does not say who is persecuting people for their faith. That would be the jihadists, primarily. It's important to understand that ISIS and Al-Qaeda want a worldwide war against the USA and infidels in general. They want us to attack them on the ground. They believe such a military campaign would mobilize millions of other Muslims into the final worldwide confrontation they seek, the long-predicted ultimate holy war. That must be understood when developing a plan to defeat, not downgrade, defeat these Muslim killers. There's no question that critical mass has been reached. Here's what Reverend Franklin Graham said last night.
This is something that the White House doesn't understand, the religious aspect of this. And these men are doing what they are doing thinking they're pleasing God, because the Quran teaches this. Islam says you can have slaves. Islam says that you can cut the heads off of people, that you can kill Jews and Christians and Yazidis and anybody else that doesn't believe like you.
Now, with all due respect to Reverend Graham, most Muslims don't accept the fundamentalist view of the Koran, just as most Jews and Christians don't accept that slavery is permitted in the Old Testament. But an honest person has to know that millions of Muslims do accept Sharia law and the human rights violations that come along with it in the name of their God. They do accept jihad and the atrocities that go along with that. Those Muslims have to be dealt with when they start murdering men, women, and children, as they are doing now. In our Judeo-Christian nation, murder is the worst crime, taking a human life unacceptable and left in self-defense. But in some parts of the Muslim world, murder is justified if you're a non-believer, or even if you believe in another tenet of Islam. And now the fanatics who do believe that are on the march. And President Obama's reaction is confused, to say the least. Last night, Talking Points called for the American clergy to speak this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday about the moral obligation to protect innocent lives from fanatical killers. Many of the clergy have responded directly to me. Pastor Brad Dertici, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. The church needs to be bold and courageous and take the leadership role that is theirs to take. It is time. Reverend Paul Whetstone, North Hollywood, California. I'm a veteran of the first Gulf War era and senior pastor of the First Southern Baptist Church here. I'll challenge my folks to call, write, and email the White House to beg the president to actively oppose the jihad. Pastor Daniel Kitchell, Norman, Oklahoma. Mr. O'Reilly, your call for the clergy to stand and demand that President Obama lead the way against ISIS is exactly what's needed. This Sunday from the pulpit, I will address this. We are with you. Rabbi Barry Axler, Chicago. Mr. O'Reilly, when Moses stood at the Red Sea with Egyptians charging, he prayed to God. God told him, don't pray, take action. I applaud your call to clergy to encourage the president to act, and I am honored to join the effort. Father Rodolfo Vasquez, Corpus Christi, Texas. This weekend, I'll ask my parishioners to speak out against the evil happening to Christians by demanding that our leaders lead a defense against the evil of radical Islam. Today, President Obama spoke at the White House summit on countering violent extremism. Once again, the summit was long on rhetoric, short on proposed action.
Al-Qaeda and ISIL and groups like it are desperate for legitimacy. They try to portray themselves as religious leaders, holy warriors in defense of Islam. We are not at war with Islam. We are at war with people who have perverted Islam.
That is true. The holy war has been launched by those who misuse the Islamic faith. But again, there are millions of them, and they are acting in the name of a deity. They are motivated to impose a barbaric religion. The Japanese worshiped their emperor during World War II. But we Americans didn't diminish the danger from that country by saying their insane view of religion was not a threat. It was. President Obama is flat out wrong in not describing the terrorist threat accurately. Muslim fanatics want to kill us, and there are millions of them. Period. Summing up, Talking Points believes that Americans of faith and goodwill must demand our federal government begin to take the holy war seriously. That means developing an aggressive strategy to stop groups from slaughtering people. Stop them, not contain them. Up till now, President Obama and Congress have been timid, unwilling to define what everybody knows is true. A violent strain of Islam is on the march, occupying vast amounts of territory, executing and terrorizing pretty much at will. The civilized world needs to come together to eliminate the threat from the earth. And if the politicians won't do it, the clergy must lead the way. Once again, I ask all religious leaders, including Muslim imams, to address their congregations this weekend. Once the American people rise up, President Obama will be forced to take the holy war seriously. And that's a memo. Next on the Rundown Reaction. And later, how is Hillary Clinton polling against certain Republicans who may run for president? We have the numbers up ahead.